Hello, YouTube. I want to talk about going to college. I was going to go back to college, use one of the online programs. I won't say which university it was because they basically all practicing the same thing. But I feel that online classes should not be as expensive as, you know, in-house classes, living on campus or going to physically going to school. I mean, it's online, and I had qualified for the Pell Grant. I was very excited about that. I had got accepted into the university. I was excited about that, but I was more excited that the government was willing to pay for me to further my education. So they were willing to pay the maximum amount, which was $7,000 per semester, and the VA, the Veteran Administration Program, they were also going to kick in $1,200 per semester. And so at this point, I'm thinking, oh, okay, I have enough money, I have enough funds to go to college and, have some money left over. And then I learned after this long, drawn out process of, submitting my essay and submitting a $50 deposit and just talking to different counselors and advisors. And so this went on for like 2 months because I was preparing to go to school in January of 2020. But I wanted to get everything out the way and figure out everything that I needed to do to make everything happen and to go smooth once I became an online student. So then I found out, like at the end of 2 months, that I was going to have to pay, even though I was receiving $7,000 from the government, $1,200 from the Veteran Administration. I was still going to have to pay $1,800 per semester out of pocket for online class. So I decided not to go. I went another route. I'm currently a correspondence student with Stratford, and I'm really enjoying it. It's you can go at your own pace. Um, they're not government affiliated. They can't accept Pell grants or money from the government, so you have to pay out of cash or pay out of pocket. Um, I I'm paying out of pocket. The tuition is $700. That's like the whole thing is $700, and then they send you your books, they send you your papers, they send you your exams, they send you your study guides, and I really like it because I'm not well. I can deal with computers, but our location is not conducive to computers and high speed internet. So sometimes we have high speed, sometimes we don't. So I'm glad that I don't have to rely on that because we're here in the mountains. And so with this program, you just pay the one time fee of $700, and you can take however long it takes you to complete the exam, and you can get help, over the phone or through the internet. And you can take 6 months or 2 years. I think it's up to 2 years to get your certification in whatever program that you sign up with, and that's Stratford Career Institute. And I'm really enjoying it, and I just really my heart goes out to students that are in conventional universities, and they're paying out all of this money, and they're trying to study at the same time. And then many students can't just go to school and not do anything else. A lot of students are working. Some students are parents. But just to say, even if you're just a full-time student and you don't have any other obligations, the financial burden that the university put on you, and in addition to trying to keep your grades up, I mean, just a lot of stress. And I can see why some people, once they get out, they really, feel like superior or resentful because, it's just a lot of expense. And this is like, and I just was expecting the online classes to be a lot cheaper, than the going to classes, being physically in class at school or living on campus. So, I mean, I don't know how much it costs to live on campus or how much it costs these days to attend class on campus, but it's just outrageous. The online courses is just outrageous, and I don't know if they're gonna eventually. I'm thinking eventually they're gonna come down off of those prices because simply because they're ridiculous, and a lot of people, I'm pretty sure they a lot of people gonna be like me. They're gonna like, I'm not paying that much, and it's a shame that when the government is paying for it or when our insurance companies are paying for it, we don't really, you know, concern ourselves with the cost. But we really need to concern ourselves with the cost because it's just a ripoff for everybody. Eventually, even if the government is paying for it or your insurance company is paying for it, eventually it comes back around and we end up paying for it. So we need to be very concerned about with the cost. But I had many reasons why I wanted to go back to college, but I didn't want to set my family back financially in the process of doing it. Not on a that type of scale. I didn't want to have to come up with $1,800 every 3 months, and for an online class. I figured that I just figured that was just too much for me, and I think that's just too much for any online course to be taken. But that's just my opinion. But I think that those prices, we're going to see those prices come down eventually because that's just a lot of stress. Well, you're trying to improve your education, but they want you to, it was always going to be a cycle of trying to hustle up money for the university. So in addition to trying to keep your grades up and actually learn the material and just do everything you can do to be a good student and have your GPS at a decent level, you constantly have to hustle up money to pay for it. I mean, and I'm talking. Let's just not forget. I'm talking online classes. I'm not talking about physically attending classes. And but even in that case, I think that's a lot of stress for someone to be a full time student or a part time student, and to always have to be concerned with how they're going to hustle up the money. I thought the Pell Grant was going to be enough, $7,000 per each semester. I thought, okay, once I was approved for the Pell Grant, I thought I was good to go, and that would be more than enough because they don't tell you how much tuition is initially. And it had been so long since I've been to any type of school that I didn't know what questions to ask. But they could have told me that from the start that it was going to be like $5,000 per semester, and the Pell Grant was paying, even though the Pell Grant was paying $7,000 per semester, and the VA was paying $1,200 per semester, I was still going to have to pay $1,800 per semester because, because I asked, and they said because the money will go towards future classes. Now, to me, maybe that makes sense to you guys. That doesn't make sense to me because it's not written in stone that I'm going to be attending classes in the future. I might just be a one semester student or I might be a 5 year student or whatever. But why burden the student with future finances when they can barely cover the current finances? So make a long story short, I reclined, and like I said, I enrolled in Stratford Career Institute, and I'm very happy. And it's more what I was going for anyway. At Stratford, it's a correspondence course, so you don't have to rely on having high speed internet, and you work at your own pace. You can get help when you need it. There's help available for you when you need it, and everything is done through the mail. So that really works for me better, and it's not an outrageous tuition. It is just not something that you have to repeatedly pay for, and every time you turn around, there's another expense. Once you think that you have it all paid for, it, and you get a letter saying that you owe for something else, and so my heart really goes out to current college students, because it's just maybe not all universities, but I'm pretty sure most of them are practicing this, because I've heard about it from other people, where you just always constantly hustling up money for them. Like in my case, I had qualified for money from the Pell Grant. I had qualified for money from the military, and then they still wanted me to pay $1,800 out of pocket. And when I told them that I was withdrawing, they suggested that I apply for different um, what's that, scholarships, and just I saw that had I proceeded and actually started classes in January of 2020, that it was just going to be a constant struggle of me searching for money to pay for the school, searching for money. And even though initially I had more than enough, you know, something like $2,200 more than what I actually needed for the initial tuition, but the excess money was going to be used towards future classes. So I just thought that was just going to be too much stress, and I wouldn't recommend that type of stress on anybody. If I believe in higher education, but if you can find another way of getting the education that you need, I recommend that you go for it, because that's just a lot of stress. And my main concern was not to apply for student loan. I did not want to have anything to do with a student loan. I had already made up my mind before I even applied to the university, that if I if I couldn't go, if I couldn't pay for the my classes without a student loan, then I wasn't going to take any classes anyway, because I'm just not I'm not in a position where I have to put that kind of stress on my life, where I have to go into financial debt, for to extend my education, and it just wasn't worth it to me. So, but you have to be careful. Be careful when you apply to these universities, especially if it's just online classes. I think that is outrageous, the amount of money that they were going to charge me for their online classes. And I was really hyped up. I mean, and they get you hyped up. And I was already hyped up, but I was hyped up when I got approved for the Pell Grant and the maximum amount of money. And then I was hyped up when the university they evaluated my essay, and they had me do some things to let them decide if I qualified to be a part of their university. And it was a Christian university. I was excited about that. I was excited about interacting with other believers in Christianity, and I was just excited about everything. But you know, the main thing is just to hustle you out of as much money as possible. And I would I could better understand if I was going to be an in-class student or living on campus, but as an online student, I just felt that was just incredibly too much money. And So I think you want to be very careful, and you also don't be afraid to negotiate, because they had considered giving me some kind of discount. But when that was after I told them that I was withdrawing. Because they looking at it like this. $10,000 per semester beats no $1,000, right? So, they were willing to give me a discount, but at that point, by that time, I was like just completely turned off about it, because I just felt like I didn't want to be in a position. I didn't want to become obligated to being in a position where I'm being hustled all the time. So, you guys be careful and think about Stratford Career Institute. I just completed my first exam. I'm very happy. I'm very proud of myself. And, this is what I want, because, I just want the convenience. I don't have to leave home to go to school. And, I can study at my own pace. And it's not incredibly expensive. It's a flat rate of $700, and you're done. That covers all your material, all your books, and you have access to help when you need it. Okay, bye.